Welcome back for episode 216 of the Working Fans Podcast. And for the last 4 years, I have been joined by the man called Dave, AJ Strangebrew. 4-year anniversary this week. And honestly, it only occurred to me because a podcast we were close with, we had talked to them many times, regularly scheduled hostilities, decided to shut down what they do. And I was surprised because we came up at the same time. You know, we were in a couple podcast networks together. And I guess it's just surprising when you see people at your level not doing it anymore. So happy 4th anniversary, guys. We are going to get into the 4th anniversary talk a little later in the episode because first up, big news this week with Jade Cargill signing with WWE. And before we get into the dream opponents we have for her in WWE, AJ, I don't think we've heard your opinion on this. So let us know what you think about Jade signing with WWE this week.
So Jade Cargill, I'm interested to see how she does with the WWE. The reason why is because her matches have all been short. She reminds me a lot of an early Goldberg or Lex Luger early in his career, where they kept the matches short so that you can really show off what she does well. We haven't seen her in a long match. And in the WWE, women's matches with the competitors that they have tend to go a little bit longer because they have wrestlers that can really go and contest you. So I'm interested to see. As a signing in general, it's fantastic. If anybody can get more out of her and teach her how to go longer, being the great athlete that she is, it is the WWE. But what worries me is I've heard speculation she's not going to NXT, that she's actually going to go straight to the main roster. That makes me a little nervous.
She's working at the Performance Center. She did do an interview where she talked about this a little bit. Now, she didn't say where she's going to wind up. She actually was asked this, and they said, do they have plans for you? And she said, they do. She said, but you're going to have to watch all the brands to find out. But she says she is putting the work behind. And one of the reasons why they actually asked her about Cody Rhodes, and they said, is Cody one of the reasons you're coming here? She's like, he's in the top 3, and he's not number 3. She said, Cody is a great businessman, a great man. She's like, and I'm not going to let him down. She says, by not putting the work in. She's like, I'm here to establish my brand. And she said, this is the place to be, and I'm ready to do whatever it takes.
Yeah, and my concern isn't the fact that she won't be able to work. I think that her offense looks incredible. In the WWE, at some point, she's going to have to learn how to sell also. And that's the part that's going to be tricky. Not everybody can be a Nia Jax, really.
I mean, I was excited for her to come to WWE because getting that practice in, you know, I don't know exactly where she trained when she was with AEW, but WWE has a performance center. They have this whole system set up. And even if she was down there, let's say 3 months, not on TV, and I'm getting a call right now, so let me interrupt this thought, and I will be right back.
I got this. So here's something else here. She's had 50-something matches, right? But those are the matches she's had in her entire career, and none of them are long matches for the most part, with maybe a few exceptions. Now, I know from listening to different podcasts and stuff that she's worked with Bryan Danielson behind the scenes now, Cody Rhodes, obviously, at the Nightmare Factory, but she's never had that opportunity, you know, to have long matches in AEW. Now she's going to be working with William Regal, Shawn Michaels, and other people behind the scene. And I think she'll do well, but I mean, a lot of this was just how she was booked in AEW, which is good and bad. They booked her as a monster, but she never got that time in.
Let me be clear, though. I am excited about this opportunity. Sure. I do think she'll fit in. I think she's got a great image, a personality. She plays the heel fantastic. Her versus Bianca Belair with Belair as the face would be incredible. Another thing that they could actually do, and I know people are automatically going, oh, they're putting her with Bianca because they're both black. That has nothing to do with it. They just happen to be two of the best athletes, pure athletes in wrestling. I would love to see them as a tag team to actually dominate a woman's version of Doom, if you will.
Now, returning to the thought I had earlier before that call broke it up. If you had her down in NXT, let's say for 3 months, not on TV, just practicing, working, getting matches in, could be beneficial. Build her up with videos in that time to make the crowd anticipate her. But who knows? She is a big enough star where I could just see her going to Raw or SmackDown and working on the go, maybe just showing up early, getting a mentor like a Natalia or somebody to help her like along to kind of train her as she goes if they have this idea to just keep her on the main roster.
And she oozes charisma.
She does. And you could do something with her where with Becky Lynch having the NXT championship right now, where she beats Becky down there and she could start squashing people. And then you could just have her show up in the Rumble with the NXT championship. She's bigger. She's going to be, if you build her right, she's going to be bigger than the NXT Women's Championship anyway. She could win the Rumble with that title and still go on to face a Rhea Ripley or a Belair or somebody at Mania. And you could main event her with night one easily.
Well, we could also do like a Yokozuna-like thing where Nia Jax is squashing these people, and out of nowhere, here comes this new superstar, Jade Cargill, and almost like that body slam challenge.
You're leaning towards making her a babyface, I think, in a lot of ways.
I think you can. Don't get me wrong. I love her as a heel, but right now you need a good babyface.
Yeah.
Plus, with all the fanfare she's getting from coming in from AEW, now, who do you think had the better women's division before this move? Was it AEW? Was it WWE?
No, I mean, the argument you could do is AEW at times has booked their women's division better. When AEW had less women's stars, I would say when they had Britt Baker, Thunder Rosa, there was a period where they got hot, and WWE had all these great women, but they were kind of stale. They were running through the circle of Charlotte, Bayley, and Becky over and over again. But now you're starting to see people like Io Sky show up. You put Becky in NXT, you're doing different things. And honestly, with the exception of maybe Toni Storm's character, I haven't found AEW's women's division as compelling. Not to say that it's awful. It's just, I feel like we're still building again.
Well, I think part of that is also an injury. I think Jamie Hayter was doing a great job of building. I think they've gone backwards, unfortunately, with Statlander. Statlander, I think, was more charismatic playing the alien before than she actually is right now. You do have women that can still work in AEW. You have a good work rate. But to me, the WWE, when you look at people even that are not on the top level, your second level has guys like Selena Vega. I put Natty Hart on that second level because they don't use her the way that she could be used. You have a real good second level there. Even Chelsea Green, you can say what you want about Chelsea Green. Chelsea Green can work and her character is over. And then Shayna Baszler, Zoe Starks, Shotzi, absolutely. Right now, the WWE has the best women's division if they use it correctly.
Right.
Bar none to me.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know we'll talk about this later, but I mean, again, that you still have the women in NXT that are going to be coming up. Like, yeah, it's great with now, but Tiffany Stratton, we may not think of her much in terms of what she's doing in the ring compared to some of the other women down there, but as a presence, we know that she has the potential to be money as well.
Well, she's not the only presence down there either. JC Jane, who can work in the ring, has a great presence to her. Thea Hale, you've got freaking Valkyrie. There's so many women down there. Bea Priestley.
Bea Priestley, Blair Davenport. Yeah,
Blair Davenport.
Yeah, I know the name.
But you have so many women that can work in that division throughout the WWE. I feel bad for the women that are in NXT, to be honest with you, because there's so many women right now in the WWE that can work. There's almost a log jam.
It'll be interesting to see as time goes on what they do with some of these ladies. And NXT, their ratings and everything with Becky down there have gone up too, so there is more exposure for some of these women, which can be a good thing.
They've improved so much with their women's wrestling. I think they could actually do an all-women's broadcast and be successful with it.
Quick side note:
bring back another Mae Young Classic or another.
Well, they're doing the women's version of the up and comer thing that they do in NXT. What's it called?
NXT Level Up.
Yeah, not Level Up. They have a tournament that they do where it's all the new women. They're going to be doing that coming up next month.
The breakout tournament. Is
breakout tournament. That's it.
Tournament. Yeah. But a side note too, I do have to say, since we were talking about Jade and we kind of into NXT here a little bit, AJ's always talked about how NXT has won him over in the last couple months. I have to say, when I saw Dragon Lee on Monday Night Raw this week against Dominic Mysterio, and then I started watching Dragon Lee again, I'm like, they are really kind of putting together a roster of people down there, like Dragunov and Carmelo. Like, there's these guys that can just go.
Well, even Carmelo's second guy, what's his name there? He's on fire right now. The crowd is behind him.
They are. They're doing this thing. Whoop that trick. Whoop that, which he's trick.
We're going to talk about this more later on, but to end this Jade segment, let's go with our top 2 dream opponents that we want to see Jade in the ring with. And I'm going to say, for me, it's got to be Natalya and Charlotte Flair. I think you're going to get classics out of Jade, and those could be like 2 huge feuds for her.
I mean, I think those 2 women could bring out maybe some of the best of her. Natalya, unfortunately, is, we talked about WWE booking some women strong. They've never rebounded with Natalya what they could do. As far as dream matches when women go, I've been saying this to AJ offhand. I mean, a lot of people are saying Bianca Belair. I guess I'm going to have to definitely put that as one of them. But for me and AJ, I think we're just going to agree with each other here. Maybe not, but I think it's got to be Rhea Ripley. Just the 2 physical presence of those 2 facing off each other. I don't think there's 2 more physically imposing women right now.
So I agree with both of those. Those are definitely my 2. I do have to put 2A in there. I would love to see her with Piper Niven. The reason why is because Piper Niven has the size, but she also can go in the ring, and I'd be interested to see her against that European-style wrestler.
Yeah, that would definitely show some more seasoning for her. And somebody that might have seen a little too much seasoning, and you guys laughed at my opinion about this, but there's a clip going around now of Ric Flair walking off the Kill Tony podcast this week. And I thought, so I'm getting to the subject of this. The question is, when did Ric Flair jump the shark? And for me personally, this is when I'm signing out on Ric Flair. I'll watch classic matches. I'll keep up with everything I loved about him in the past. But at this point, like, Ric Flair is done to me. I can't see anything new.
You don't want to see the next retirement match?
This is the lowest point I've seen him at. And it was just not a good look for him as an appearance. So you guys scoffed at this. When do you see his jumping the shark moment as?
I don't know. I mean,
15
there's a
years
lot of opinions about this because he's had several moments over the past 15 years, maybe more.
Let's be clear. Let's be clear about this. I love Rick. Rick was my childhood hero. He's who I wanted to be. Awesome wrestler. Ric Flair jumped the shark about 15 years ago when he had his retirement match in the WWE. And then he decided to come back and make an ass out of himself by working again in TNA.
Yeah,
he should have been retired at that time. He should have been done. He could have been doing commentary, coaching behind the scenes, whatever he wants to do. The other thing that you have to remember about Ric Flair's appearance here is Ric Flair has always been extremely sensitive,
insecure,
sensitive. This show for him to go on, even at sober or drunk. This show for him to go on where they roast people is the absolute worst place for Ric Flair to be.
And Tony Cliff, who is a big fan of Rick and a huge fan of pro wrestling, who brought him on, I'm sure he looks awkward as hell in this. You can see this is not what he wanted to have happen, and it's unfortunate. Now, I guess we're a little different, and AJ's probably a little like me this too. I think maybe it's because we're just a little older and we're a little softer on Rick. I kind of take everything what Rick does with a grain of salt, too. Yeah. I look at it like, he's fucking up again. He's fucking up again. But I can't help it. If you announce to me that, say, Ric Flair is going to be on NWA or something, in my mind, don't do it. Don't do it. But part of me will always go, man, I hope he fucking hits a home run on the mic or something, or you know what I mean? In terms of a mic. But, physically, I don't ever want to see Rick back in the ring again, ever. And now whenever I see him on public appearances, it's always like, I hope he does good.
The problem is
this was one of those things that even on the end, he got on the mic and cut a promo to leave, and it was the saddest string of words I've ever seen Ric Flair put together. And
you're emotional, you're insecure, and you're drunk, and he obviously didn't understand the concept. Although Rick's been roasted before too, I thought. So I don't know what.
And it was also at the roast that he didn't do necessarily well at. I mean, I think he took it in stride, but it was one of those things where it was the worst idea. And I want to reiterate what AJ said, because I'm bringing this up and I'm bringing light to Ric Flair's lowest appearance and how I'm checking out on him. But still, huge fan from back in the day. He's the reason why the big gold belt is behind me. He made a name for it.
To me, Ric Flair is like Joe Namath. I'm a lifelong Jets fan. I love my Jets, no matter how bad they do. We always have that one shining light. We loved Joe Namath. However, when Joe shows up, you don't know what you're going to get. Are you going to get drunk Joe Namath, who doesn't know to keep his hands off the interviewer and shut his mouth? Or are you going to get the guy who actually brings up good points? And that's where Ric Flair's at right now. Hey, I love to see him, but goddamn, I'm always terrified of what he's going to do.
Now, I'm going to ask a stupid question, but is this his last public appearance? Not ever, but is this the last thing he does, like, with an audience?
No. Absolutely not.
He can't live without the spotlight.
He can't. And
you know what happens? I think early in the morning, Wendy sets him up with a little shaker of Dubby. And when he gets that Dubby going in his bloodstream, it gets him all fired up. And it does it without the jitters. So that AJ, way he's just motivated through the day and the blood's pumping.
AJ is so on the Dubby that he stepped on my little Ric Flair plug here, because I wanted to end the Ric Flair subject with the new Ric Flair book out by Tim Hornbaker, The Last Real World Champion. I started it. It's great. It starts going into the black market baby situation in that area of the country that resulted in Ric Flair getting adopted. So very in-depth, very good to start. AJ, do you got like another 10 seconds of a W ad that I can put?
Well, if you go to chapter 13, it actually tells you that if you use the code FANSWORKING at the W website, you'll get 10% off your purchase. That's not just 10% off one thing, folks. You can buy a shaker, you can get your W, you can get their hydration formula, 10% off your total purchase by using FANSWORKING. Find that in chapter 13 of the Ric Flair book and at Dubby's website.
Yeah, W.GG. You can get stickers and everything there. And we are so cranked up.
Get some Dubby. Woo!
It'll keep you wooing through the day.
We're going double time on the W this weekend because there's no UFC, but there are 2 pay-per-views. And tomorrow night, NXT No Mercy live from Bakersfield, California. AJ, you admittedly watch more NXT than us. So what is your excitement level as a daily viewer of this, or a weekly viewer?
I'm extremely excited about this pay-per-view. I think it's going to be off the hook. We're getting another Dragunov versus Mello. I mean, who doesn't want that? That's going to be absolutely incredible. Those two, when they get together, they have such great chemistry. The intensity of Dragunov, the incredible athleticism of Mello. These two tore it down last time they faced each other, and they're going to absolutely tear it down again. Randy Ozga, happy anniversary to you, you son of a bitch. You've been watching all 4 years, and you're part of this anniversary, so thank you, my friend.
Yes, Randy Ozga, one of our many day ones. I know Charlie Hill, another one that watches us a lot. Pat Oates, I know, watches us a lot. Shared the link today. Hope he's watching today. But before we get into our 4-year journey, let's get into the journey for NXT No Mercy. Yeah. Dave, I think you got those matches ready over there.
I do.
What is on this pay-per-view? Because I'm aware of a couple matches, but not all of them.
How about we start off with this? Noam Dar is defending. Actually, I'm sorry. It's is this a Heritage Cup match? It is.
Yeah, it is. It's the Heritage Cup match. Yeah. They had a tournament leading up to this where all of about 8 wrestlers actually went head to head, and they were some of the best wrestlers in NXT. And now we've got Butch, or the formerly known as Pete Dunne, going up against Noam Dar for the Heritage Cup, and it's going to be incredible.
You can't go wrong with that match. You're going to get a British style match to open up the show.
Now,
The fact that we got Tyler Bate. The fact that we got Tyler
Cup
Bate.
have special rules?
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. This is going to be under Heritage Cup rules.
Yeah.
The fact that in the last match leading up to this, we've got Joe Coffey versus Butch, and also Tyler Bates versus Butch. I mean, those are absolutely incredible matches. And now we get Noam Dar, who I think is underrated.
Yeah, I'll just a couple other matches here. Dirty Dom versus Trick Williams for the North American Championship. Trick Williams and Dom. Obviously, Trick is on fire right now, but the special referee here, Dragon Lee. How does Dirty Dom keep the championship with the special referee being Dragon Lee? Is Trick Williams going to get the North American title here?
I would love to see Trick Williams actually get the belt here, because I think that it would be great for him to have the second belt to Mello, and it would cause friction and lead to that match in the future. However, I don't see that. Somehow Dragon Lee is going to end up having to count down Trick Williams, and it's going to just cause more of a Dragon Lee versus Dirty Dom.
And another big match, Becky Lynch versus Tiffany Stratton. Is Stratton going to get the gold here, or is the Becky Lynch train going to keep rolling?
I think that Becky Lynch is going to go over. And I think Tiffany Stratton's actually going to get moved up to one of the brands, either SmackDown or Raw, going forward.
Yeah,
and I don't want to.
One thing I want to ask about that last match, wasn't that the match that Mustafa Ali was set to be in against Dominic?
It was
his release.
Yes,
it was originally. Mustafa Ali was supposed to get it. Of course, he was released, so he will not be there. But it definitely was an interesting setup going forward to, at the last minute, have to have a match, which, by the way, it was a three-way dance that Trick Williams wasn't originally in. He went to Shawn Michaels. Shawn Michaels added him as the fourth, and Trick Williams ended up winning it to get the shot at Dirty Dom.
So is he the right pick to be in there? Because I haven't followed a lot of NXT, and from what I've seen of him, he's mostly like a side person.
He's very over right now with the NXT audience, though. Like they are every.
Between the heat that Dirty Dom has, being maybe the number one villain in all of wrestling right now, between his heat and between how over Trick is, this match could be incredibly on fire.
I want to give you two more matches before we get out of here. Braun Breaker versus Baron Corbin. That's an interesting match because we basically have two heels wrestling each other.
The funny thing is, that is the match I care the least about.
I know, but it's two heels. It's like kind of weird. I just want to, I don't know how they booked this. I'm going to assume Breaker wins because he's the one you want to push going forward.
The only way that this match is successful is if they have a moment that leaves you going, holy shit.
Yeah.
I don't know.
They have to have that holy shit moment.
I'm excited for this match because Baron Corbin has seemed to get like a second life being back in NXT from what I've seen. And I think he has to go over, and I think this is what pushes Breaker to the main roster.
Maybe. I mean, I definitely think this is Baron's best work in a while, but I think this is a strange booking that they've had here.
I think it does the opposite. I think that if Corbin goes over, he ends up going back to the main roster because you have to. And the reason why is because at some point you have to have that get even moment between Braun Breaker and what's his name, Von Wagner, the guy who he tried to end his career by stomping his skull with the stairs. There's got to be some time when Von Wagner comes back to get Braun.
That could be here, actually. That could be here. Now, before we move on next, I do want to at least get the main event in. Carmelo Hayes defends the NXT Championship against Ilya Dragunov. Last time these guys had a classic. Dragunov has had nothing but classics for most of his career. He's probably one of the more, I don't want to say underrated, but he's one of the better wrestlers out there who hasn't had that main roster stage yet or been on a huge platform.
Do you think it's possible that Trick goes over, Mello loses the belt, and what causes friction is now that Trick has a belt and Mello has nothing, that Mello can't balance his ego not having the championship?
Could be, or something could happen where Trick, maybe Trick ends up costing Mello after Mello accidentally calls Trick or something, or Trick's frustrated. There could be something here. I
see Dragunov taking the belt?
I have this sneaky feeling he might. I don't know why. But I mean, to me, he's a great guy to have on that brand as champion because Carmelo should be on the main roster already.
Yeah.
And Dragunov, you can wait with him because maybe he doesn't have the season or the look you want yet, and you're waiting for the right moment with him. But in the meantime, he's going to have great matches with all your other performers down there, and he's going to get them all ready. I don't want to see him in that Ziggler role, per se. At some point, I want to see him make the move, but he's more than capable of moving everybody up.
I love Dragunov. He reminds me a lot of Chad Gable in the sense that he is strong as hell. You don't know where it's coming from because of his size, but somehow he wrestles like a monster in the ring, and you believe it. When he wrestles guys that are twice his size in the ring, you believe he's a monster still.
Yeah, Tyler Bate too.
Oh, absolutely.
I like AJ's idea, but I just feel like Mello isn't going to be giving up that title because I feel like one title is going to change, not both of them. So for me, Mello's got to keep it, and I think Trick wins earlier in the night. But
By the way, WWE, if you want more ideas like this, all you have to do is book the Working Fans podcast. We'll come in and we'll write for you.
You know who's been winning the last 4 years, though, is us and the fans, because it is our 4-year anniversary. Every time we take another trip around the sun, we kind of like to reflect on what we've done. And this year, would you say it's been our biggest year? And by biggest, we're by no means big. We have just made I think, our biggest moves within the last 365.
Yeah, it's the biggest growth year we've ever had. It's funny because it's probably the least amount of interviews we've scored in years because we've been so focused with our other work in terms of like the channel and everything. But yeah, I mean, for anybody watching this, trying to grow our YouTube channel, I would say this is our biggest growth year. It's not even close. I think, Joe, you may know better than I do. I think last year we had gained like 300 something subscribers and total, and now we've gained like 1,600 subscribers in a year. So
yeah, I think when we started this year on YouTube, we were at like maybe 890. We were close.
Times the growth. And
well, it helps, in my opinion, that we had the best wrestling announce team in the history of wrestling, with Man Called Dave and producer Joe calling all that exciting wrestling all over the nation, ladies and gentlemen.
It's one thing that's grown out of this thing that I think it's been our most surprising over the last year. It's gotten bigger. We got to be at that live Northeast wrestling event where AJ got in the ring and helped do some announcements. We got featured on the back of the Hip Hop for the Homeless shirt. We've been donating to them for a couple of years, finally being able to get our logo up there. We've gotten interviews with Trayvon Jordan, Brian Solomon. We've gotten in with other podcasters, authors. And, the whole reason this idea popped up is I saw ROH shut things down. And it made me wonder what made them decide to shut down and what makes us decide to keep going. Like, what do we see as goals in our future? What do we still hope to accomplish? I know we're just happy to talk wrestling every week.
Well, I think for myself, I'm still waiting for you guys to book that match with Princess Josh, but that's fine. We won't talk about that. I think
don't know if you want to get in the ring with them.
That's going forward. I think that if we continue to do what we're doing, continue to bring the fans what they want, we'll continue to grow. I would love to see us continue on with announcing teams in other wrestling organizations, maybe spread out a little bit that way. I think that would help. I think that not doing as many interviews is not necessarily a bad thing, because I think that we've done a great job at bringing people news. We don't focus on breaking news, but we talk about it like friends do. And when people come on the show, they know.
Our shorts is where we tend to hit the breaking news. We used to try and cover it on the podcast, but we were always like a week late with it. So we've found ways to adapt. Our YouTube has great shorts, short videos, long videos. And it's like all our creativity, I think, that comes in the middle that really helps. We're not a news source, but we will bring you news. We just like talking. We like giving opinions, and we like growing other podcasts. You saw from the Cheap Seats. We've always talked about Tyler's Takes, RSH, Paranormal Activities, other shows that we're into.
We play well with others.
Yeah. As the Kurt Angle says, you're just a little boy, and I'm a man that likes to play with little boys.
I think Dave has that T-shirt.
What? It was a Kurt Angle quote. Don't quote me. I don't know.
But yeah, it's been a fun 4 years. Like you said, the interviews really kind of was like a product of the pandemic. And now we've gotten into wrestling content. We like to talk about try and be timely on our shows, always keep it funny. And if you're a fan of the show, if you're watching, we don't often make plugs to try and monetize, but go to w.gg, get a couple stickers, just get a little something, use code FANSWORKING, money goes back to us. From the event we did this summer, we still have prints from this carnival. $3. Get a hold of us in the comments, PayPal, we'll get it out to you. If you want to support a podcast, because we're not crying about this, but we put money into this with no real return. And it's not a big deal because we do it for the love of the game. But if you like what we do, if you like to support us, the least you can do is subscribe and share. But if you want to do a little extra, go to Dubby, hit us up in the comments. We'll get you a print. We'll get you a sticker. But most importantly, thank you for watching us for the last 4 years, because if we didn't keep seeing people come back and actually watch what we do, I don't know if we'd keep doing this, because that's always been our thing. Like, if there's no audience, that's the time to stop. And that hasn't happened yet. We're not big by any means, but we enjoy what we do, and we have you there to talk with us. So thank you.
We're bigger than we were on our 3rd anniversary, and that's saying something.
We've been growing so far, so we'll see how it goes.
Definitely. Do you guys have any last thing you want to say just on the 4-year bits before we get to the main event of the weekend?
To quote a one-time great man that we all loved, I will never retire. Woo!
Well, some would
my thing is just check us out, subscribe, give us a likes, leave comments on things. If you enjoy something, we want comments from you. We have no problem with responding back to you and talking to you. So please, when you go on these and listen to our show, make sure you leave a comment and let us know what you think.
Definitely. Now, some would say this has been a Wrestledream, but I would argue the real Wrestledream is on Sunday, the big pay-per-view. It feels a little too soon for an AEW pay-per-view since we just had back-to-back ones a month ago. Not complaining, because what I've seen of this card is great, but I think doing too many pay-per-views in this short a time, plus just the pacing they have on how they advertise the shows, how they build up to it, has been a little stilted for me.
They're not allowing any time for actual storylines to develop in between shows. Because they've had so many shows so quickly, there's no real build up to it. There's great matches that we want to see, but there's no actual build up to it. The biggest build, to be honest with you, of any storyline to me is Julia Hart. Julia Hart and Chris Statlander is the best build of any of the storylines on this pay-per-view, in my opinion.
Well, Ricky Starks and Wheeler Yuta.
Yeah, sure. That was great. That's what did they just start building that last week?
This match just got announced.
Okay. No, it just got announced, but they started the build to it last week by having Wheeler Yuta show up.
Yeah.
That's to me, Julia, like I said, Julia Hart with her Mist, with House of Black going after Chris Statlander. That's the only match that's actually genuinely built.
What about the Bucks, the Guns, the Lucha Brothers, and Hook and Orange Cassidy in that fatal 4-way for a future Anytime AEW Tag Team Championship?
I'm not sure if you're trying to prove my point or yours.
We got
how about the build to that Ring of Honor Tag Team Championships? Where it's now a handicap match.
Oh, we actually have to talk about. There's some juice on that one. So, You said it though about Statlander and Julia Hart. I think that one has been built up. I think Statlander will continue her momentum though. Ultimately, I think Julia Hart's just been focused on these last few weeks because they wanted somewhat of a credible challenge for Statlander, and I think they actually.
Did you see her moonsault this week?
That was perfect. I thought she actually.
Oh my god! She
might
actually have the best moonsault in wrestling. That
was
incredible.
Was Ivar. Side note, Ivar had one of the best moonsaults for a 400-pound man I've ever seen.
That was the most terrifying moonsault I've ever seen.
I will agree. I think I see Statlander winning that one.
I do. Let's go to the next one here. Let's.
By the way, I disagree. I actually see Julia Hart continuing on.
Okay.
Okay.
It's an interesting matchup. Eddie Kingston is defending the Ring of Honor World Championship and the New Japan Strong Openweight Championship. He's defending both those titles against Shibata, who's the Ring of Honor Pure Champion.
Now, both of his championships are on the line, but Shibata's is not on the line.
Absolutely not.
So I see Eddie Kingston going over.
Okay. Shibata, Triple Crown champion. You heard it here first.
Now, a little sidebar on this. Because of him being a champion for both those organizations, and this is one of the reasons why I think he's holding on to this belt, because he wouldn't have had to make this announcement if he wasn't planning on still
That's a good point, actually. Yeah.
holding both. He announced this week that he would not be taking independent bookings going forward because his work as a champion for New Japan Pro Wrestling and for Ring of Honor is not allowing him enough schedule. Now, if he's losing it this week, he doesn't really have to make that announcement.
All right.
There's at least
out too.
There's at least one independent company that found out when Eddie Kingston made that announcement. I want to say it's Defy in the Northwest.
No, but there was a little clarification on that. Eddie sent out an email to them actually prior, but it was so close proximity, they actually found out online. Nobody had checked the email, which is kind of shades. You're like, send. Oh, by the way, send. you know, maybe you could have called them.
It's where we are in a digital age. Sometimes the speed of the news getting out there will outpace like connections you made to try and get it.
Let's talk about.
My point behind this is I don't see Shibata going over because why would he even make that announcement?
That's fair. I'm going to go with Kingston too. That's an excellent point. You won me over completely on that. I wanted to.
That's going to be a great match, though. That might be my match of the night or second match of the night because we'll get to the match of the night later.
Well, here's a matchup that actually has been really very, very well built, and it might actually be the best built match on the show completely. Christian Cage versus Darby Allin. 2 out of 3 falls match for the TNT Championship. The sit down I thought was great this week with JR. Darby always kills it in this stuff too. Christian Cage has been just an awesome heel with talking about people's dead dads and wanting to hook up with their moms. Like he's just a complete scumbag. At the end of this, Christian Cage, I don't see him losing the TNT Championship yet. By the way, October 1st, Adam Copeland, that's this Sunday, the same as this pay-per-view, is free to sign anywhere.
Also, by the way, I think one of my highlights of that interview with JR was when JR says to Christian, yeah, you finally won that belt you've been carrying around. And he says, what are you talking about? I've had this belt for months.
Yes.
Yeah. He said, I've been the champion.
See,
so Christian just no selling and doing a great job with it. I do think we're going to see Edge. I think he's doing a similar thing to what he did when he came back to the WWE. He's always been one to kayfabe us and to not let us in on too much. So I do think he's coming.
See, going into this match, I'm a little tired of the feud because Luchasaurus, Darby Allin, Christian didn't really get me. I got a little more excited from the match when it became 2 out of 3 falls because just 2 out of 3 falls, something about that I enjoy. But then hearing that little fact about Edge, I feel like he's going to make some type of appearance, and he's either going to cost Christian the title or help him keep it. I would say probably help him keep it so they can get one last run as a team, but he could also cost him and get one last feud, maybe coming together as a team. Who knows?
I think Christian at this point actually keeps the belt. If Edge comes, I do think he's going to actually help him keep the belt. And then they could break up later, and then their final match could be against each other. but I do think Christian holds on to the belt this weekend.
How about this match, guys? Trios match. Takeshita, Sammy Guevara, and Will Ospreay, the Don Callis family, versus Jericho, Kenny Omega, and he's going to be a little banged up because he had a kettlebell smashed on his head. He's still going to be on the show. Don't worry. That didn't take him out. Kota Ibushi.
Well, thankfully, they used one of the plastic-coated kettlebells, not the full metal old-fashioned kettlebell. So thank goodness for that. And at least this one's had a little bit of a build to it.
Sure.
So this one I am looking forward to. I like Sammy better as a heel. Yeah. So this fits better into my whole vision of everything.
I don't think the heel should lose here. I think you're still.
They got to go over.
Yeah, you're building up Sammy. Takeshita has those 2 wins over Kenny, but I don't think Kenny should get his heat back in a 6-man match. And
thank God they brought Ospreay in to take the loss.
They could have. I mean, they've done nothing but build up Will Ospreay, but I doubt it. And I think Will's going to continue to win, which is amazing considering his contract's coming up. And AEW, it makes me wonder, are they trying to get Will really bad because they're putting him over every chance they could get?
I got to tell you, I think it's going to be Team Jericho winning this. I think it's going to be a good match. It feels like one of those matches where you're trying to get more people onto the show, but it is a story they've been building up well, but I don't see Jericho losing.
All right. Speaking of a guy I have a hard time seeing losing, but he's going to be in a 2-on-1 handicap match. MJF versus the Righteous. Now, MJF, they're very protective of him. He's the AEW World Champion, and it's just hard for me to picture him getting a pinfall here, loss to Vincent or Dutch. No offense to either one of them. I like the gimmick that they're doing, but it's just going to be very strange to see that. Now, that being said, with no Adam Cole, I don't know why they should keep holding on the Ring of Honor tag titles unless they're holding out here. And then we have all this thing going on with Jay White, who's now wants to feud with MJF, and then people took out Jay White at the end of Dynamite here. What's going on here, AJ? What do you think? What's the deal?
I think Adam Cole, being close friends with MJF, he's going to send out his good buddy Rowdy to team up with MJF.
Roddy.
And he's going to overcome that neck injury that he's been fighting. And he's going to be in the corner, and it's going to look like he's going to help MJF. And then he's going to turn on MJF too. And I think the Righteous are actually walking out with the belts.
Okay.
That is very similar to what I was going to suggest. I saw Roddy is stepping in for MJF to take the spot. Maybe giving it his best and honestly losing, maybe trying to fuck MJF, but the Righteous have to end up with these belts because while it was interesting to have on MJF and Cole, I think the Righteous fit more as ROH tag team champions. But your ROH trio champions are the elite right now, so everything's kind of out the door.
Yeah, and I mean, at the end of the day, I'm excited for that MJF versus Dutch match on AEW Dynamite. So,
yeah, who's not?
Moving on, FTR versus Aussie Open. AJ, how does Aussie Open win the tag titles and get it done here? Let me know.
They do it cleanly in the center of the ring. I'm actually picking Aussie Open to win.
Really? Interesting.
I know I'm going against the tide here, but I think with the heat that's on him, with the criminal investigation and everything that's going on, I think Aussie Open's going over here. I think that they've been building them up. I think they want these guys, and they want them to be a part of AEW, and I think the belts are going to them.
I mean, you do have a 4-way tag match on earlier in the show where the Guns are the only heels in it. You have the Lucha Brothers, you have the Young Bucks, and you have Hook and Orange Cassidy. So maybe you're set up. This is AEW. I can see them doing face versus face. I won't go against FTR. FTR all day.
Yeah, I got FTR too. I really like what Aussie Open's doing. They've been incredible, but I just don't see FTR.
Yeah, nothing against FTR. I love FTR. It's not like I don't want them to go over. I just have this feeling in my gut.
Who's next to leave?
Oh, man, Randy bringing a question.
Ricky Starks. Ricky Starks is going to head over and be with his buddy Cody Rhodes. That's an easy one.
Ricky Starks. I like that.
Yeah, we had a bunch of suggestions. I don't want to say it was episode 214. We did it. I mean, Jade was obviously top of the list. I got MJF there. Dave, do you got a suggestion?
I definitely think Ricky Starks is a great pick. Beyond Ricky Starks right now, no one comes to mind. We'll have to wait and see. A lot of people that are here seem to want to be here.
I'm telling you, I think Ricky Starks, with his close friendship, the whole reason he came to AEW in the first place was Cody Rhodes. Right. From the NWA. He came over because Cody wanted him there, and I think Cody wants him in the WWE, and I think he's going to be there.
Getting pushed right now, but I wouldn't be surprised for Sammy Guevara for the same reason down the road.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens.
MJF versus Jay White is going to be quite the matchup when we hit. Yes, Randy, we do see Edge possibly debuting at Wrestledream, possibly in Christian's match.
Do you guys have an opinion whatsoever as to who could have attacked Jay White?
I'm kind of leaning towards Roddy and the Kingdom, and they're going to end up doing something with Adam Cole, even though there's no way Adam Cole was actually there. I feel like this is all a setup, and then of course eventually this will lead to Adam Cole turning on MJF. But by the way,
I was hoping it was the rest of the Gun Club and Rock Hard, Juice Robinson, and then the Paper Cutout attacking him, but apparently it wasn't.
Yeah. I like that MJF was still threatening to sneak attack Adam Cole on a boat in one of the skits they were doing with it. And then it was like, oh yeah, no, I wouldn't do that to you. And it is okay to have more than one friend. I didn't know that. But let's figure this out. Last two matches, guys. Here's a match I actually am looking forward to. He knows what it is. It's Swerve's house. Swerve Strickland versus Hangman Page. For me, I put Swerve over here. I think
Hangman.
Go ahead.
Hangman Page bores me to fucking tears.
Oh wow!
He is useless. He can barely work at this point. I hope Swerve just freaking goes over him big time. Swerve Strickland is the man. Whose house is it? It's Swerve's house, bitches.
I wasn't going to go that hard on Hangman, but
dude, Hangman is the most overrated wrestler. He has not developed at all over the last 3 years. He was put into a main event spot. He has become soft, complacent, and has not developed.
Former AEW World Champion.
Tell me he has not been downhill ever since.
He had. Go ahead.
He looked way better than he did in ROH. I do think he is plateaued in AEW. Yes. He hit a level probably when he was world champ, and then he's been kind of lost in the mix since then. I'm not as down about him as that, but he doesn't stand out as much as Swerve. Swerve is more a television character and is more just he'll catch your eye overall.
Swerve keeps developing the way he is. He could be a future world champion.
Swerve has brought the best out of Hangman, is what I was going to say. I've actually liked Hangman in this feud. That being said, I think you put Swerve over still. Swerve is definitely a guy that's been killing it every time he gets in there, and I think you could do something big with Swerve.
Swerve is awesome on the mic. He's awesome with his facial features. He can work his ass off in the ring. Like I said, to me, this guy should be a future world's champion if he keeps developing the way he is.
All right, guys, we're almost approaching the Broadway here. Main event. Dream matchup, Zack Sabre Jr. versus Bryan Danielson. It is a dream match. Technically, this will be a masterpiece. And with Bryan Danielson, you never know if he's going to get the win because he's so unselfish. However, to me, if you're closing out a major pay-per-view like this, you got to go with your bigger name star for the win. Zack Sabre Jr. is a New Japan guy. He goes on Ring of Honor, but we haven't even put him on AEW television lately. So I got to go with Bryan Danielson.
This is a dream match. When you talk about dream matches, this is a dream match. The problem is, and this is why it makes me a little sad, is I believe we are winding down on Bryan Danielson's career. He's come out and said it. I think the reason why you're seeing the matches that you see from him is that we have a limited amount of time with Bryan left. So that makes me a little bit sad. But guys, put those tears away and enjoy this match because it's going to be a classic.
Yes, that is going to shape up to be a big event. And guys, lightning round, we got 3 more questions from Randy. I'll give you the questions, quick answers. AJ, how long do you think Adam Cole is out for?
3 months.
How much?
3 months.
3 months. Okay, I'll go with that.
I'm gonna say 6. Who do you see Phoenix losing the title to?
I was hoping for Jeff Jarrett, but we didn't get that.
Satnam Singh, baby. India, 1 billion people.
I think he's going to lose it to John Moxley as soon as Moxley's cleared from the concussion protocol.
That might be a good one. No Satnam Singh.
That makes the most sense, but to change things up, I'm going to say Sammy Guevara.
I'd love her to be Eddie. Three champ Eddie.
When do you see Wardlow coming back?
Like, there's a guy.
At the same time as I change the channel.
That might be a guy who could be WWE bound. When you think of a guy that AEW got hot at one point and then haven't been able to maintain that with, Wardlow could be a guy that they could do something with WWE.
He's also a Cody guy, by the way. If you remember, Cody got him over in that steel cage match. He's a big Cody guy, so I would not be surprised to see him WWE bound. But Wardlow, we need to see something more from charisma-wise. He's got the potential in the ring, but I haven't seen anything charisma-wise.
Definitely now. Hold on, guys. I'm getting a call here, and you're never going to guess who it is. It's Wrestleville.
Read about the Northern Wrestling Federation in the book presented by Wrestleville.com, The Pro Wrestling Vault, Volume 2. Hear the story of Roger Ruffin, the man who trained Carl Anderson, the Monster Abyss, Jordan Clearwater, Chris Harris, and Jillian Hall.
Plus 45 other short stories, including Jazz, Bobby Eaton, Kamala, Thunder Rosa, Mario Mancini, Scott Casey, PJ Black, Kerry Morton, Sal Renaro, Jeremiah Plunkett, Colby Carino, Bam Bam Malone, and many others.
Get your book today at Wrestleville.com. Wrestleville. It's where wrestling lives.